Ama and Kojo thought their home was safe, until the day their father's new wife smiled, and the shadows of the forest began to stir with a hunger that could not be denied. The village of Adumasa lay at the edge of the forest where the wind carried both blessings and curses. It was a place where people lived close to the spirits, and every drumbeat told a story older than time. Kwaku Mensah was a respected farmer, known for his yam fields and gentle nature. He had 2 children, Ama, wise beyond her 10 years, and Kojo, a lively boy who followed his father like a shadow. Life was simple, peaceful, and good until the day Kwaku returned from the market with a new wife. Her name was Abena. She came from the far side of the forest, where the land was quiet and strange. Her skin was smooth as river stones, her eyes too sharp for comfort, and her smile carried something that made even elders uneasy. Kwaku, blinded by love, saw none of this. "She will bring warmth to our home again," he said, holding her hand. But when Abena entered the compound, the wind shifted, the chickens scattered, the fire hissed, and Ama felt the ground grow colder beneath her feet. From that day, the songs in their home changed. Abena sang softly at night, not lullabies, but strange, twisting melodies that made the air hum. She refused to eat from the family pot, claiming her stomach could only hold what she cooked herself. Ama tried to please her, but Abena's eyes followed her like a hawk's. When Kwaku left for the farm, the woman's voice changed, low and hissing, as if speaking to something unseen. The children didn't know it yet, but a shadow had entered their home, and it was hungry. The forest beyond Adumasa was feared. Even the hunters never stepped beyond the 3rd hill. They said that beyond that line lived the Asuman, the forest witch who fed on lost souls and could twist dreams into nightmares. Yet that was where Abena often disappeared. At dawn, she would carry a small calabash wrapped in white cloth and vanish into the mist. When she returned, her lips were stained black, and her eyes glowed faintly under the sunlight. One morning, Ama followed her. Barefoot and trembling, she hid behind the trees. The air was thick with a smell like burning herbs and blood. Abena stopped before an ancient tree that seemed to breathe. Its roots pulsed, and its bark was carved with strange faces. Then Ama saw her stepmother kneel. "Mother of the woods," Abena whispered, her voice trembling with devotion. "I bring your offerings. Soon I will bring you what you crave most, flesh that carries a father's blood." The tree answered with a deep sigh, and something shifted beneath the earth. Ama ran home, heart pounding. She told Kojo everything, but her brother laughed weakly, too afraid to believe. That night, their father came home pale and weak. Abena fed him a dark soup, and he drank without question. "It is a healing brew," she said sweetly. But as he slept, his breath grew shallow and his skin cold. The next morning, Kwaku could no longer stand. Ama's heart sank. Her father was fading, and she knew the forest had already begun to claim him. Days turned into weeks, and Kwaku's sickness deepened. Abena now ruled the compound like a queen. She forbade the children from leaving, claiming spirits hunted them. She sprinkled white ashes around the doorway and told the neighbors that evil eyes had cursed their home. But Ama noticed the truth. Every night, Abena would whisper over Kwaku's body, pressing her palm on his chest until he stopped breathing for moments at a time. Then she would laugh softly and whisper, "Soon, he will belong to the forest." Amma tried to seek help from Nana Adutumwa, the old herbalist, but Abena caught her before she could reach the path. She dragged her back by the arm, her nails drawing blood. "If you ever try that again, I'll feed you to the ants before the witch gets her turn," Abena hissed, her face twisting with fury. Kojo watched from behind a wooden post, tears streaming down his face, but powerless to help. That night, Amma lay awake listening to the rain. Thunder rolled across the sky like angry drums. She heard her father's faint voice call her name once, then silence. When dawn came, the bed was empty. Abena stood outside, dressed in white, and said coldly, "Your father returned to the spirits. The forest has taken him." No one saw his burial. No one heard his last words. But deep inside, Amma knew her father's soul had been traded for something far darker. A week after Kweku's mysterious burial, Abena's mourning veil vanished. She smiled again, too easily, too brightly. The neighbors whispered that grief had driven her mad, but Amma saw the truth in her eyes. She moved like someone who had been fed new power. That evening, she called to the children, her voice as sweet as honey. "Amma, Kojo, we're going to visit my mother," she said. "She lives deep in the forest, and she misses the laughter of children." Amma's heart sank. She remembered Abena's words to the tree, "Mother of the woods?" She tried to protest, but Abena's gaze froze her tongue. "No arguments," Abena said, her smile now razor-sharp. "The forest awaits." They walked until the village drums faded, until only the rustle of leaves and the hum of unseen spirits surrounded them. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Even the birds stopped singing. At last, they reached a clearing. There stood the twisted tree Amma had seen before, its roots curling like claws. The ground beneath it moved faintly, like something breathing. Abena bowed deeply, holding the children by their wrists. "Mother," she whispered, "I bring you the feast you desired." The tree groaned, and the soil split. From the darkness rose a figure cloaked in moss and bone, a woman with hollow eyes and lips painted in blood. "Ah," the witch croaked, her voice like cracking wood. "Children of man, come closer." Amma screamed, pulling Kojo back, but Abena's grip was iron. "Feed," the witch hissed. "Feed the roots." The forest began to pulse with hunger. The air shimmered, and for the first time, Amma saw the truth. Her stepmother's shadow no longer matched her body. Amma's scream tore through the clearing. In that moment of chaos, she yanked Kojo's hand and ran. Abena shouted, "You cannot escape her!" But the forest seemed to bend and twist, making paths where none had been before. Roots rose from the earth, trying to trip them, but Amma jumped over them, dragging her terrified brother behind. "Run, Kojo!" she cried. "Don't look back!" Behind them, the witch's voice echoed through the trees, cold and commanding. "The forest remembers your names." Branches lashed out like whips, slicing their arms and legs. Amma's lungs burned, her vision blurred, but she refused to stop. Kojo stumbled, sobbing. "Amma, I can't," he cried. She lifted him, her small frame trembling with strength, born from fear. They burst through the undergrowth, finally finding a faint trail of moonlight that led to safety. When they collapsed beside a stream, Amma felt the sting of salt and iron in her mouth. Blood. Kojo clung to her, shaking. "Why does she want us?" he whispered. Amma stared into the water, watching her reflection ripple. "Because our blood carries Father's spirit," she said softly. "And she traded him for power. Now she wants us too." They spent the night trembling beneath a silk cotton tree. The forest whispered around them, calling their names. Amma prayed silently to the ancestors. "Protect us," she murmured, "for the darkness is awake." Somewhere far away, the witch laughed, slow and cruel, and the wind carried her echo. When dawn broke, the forest glowed gold and green. Amma and Kojo wandered until their legs ached, searching for a way out. Finally, they stumbled upon a woman kneeling beside the riverbank, washing herbs in a calabash. Her hair was silver as moonlight, her back straight as a spear. When she turned, her eyes were milky white, yet she saw everything. "You've come from the witch's forest," she said quietly. "I smell her hunger on you." Amma fell to her knees. "Please, Nana, help us. Our stepmother has fed our father to the forest witch. Now she hunts us too." The old woman nodded slowly, motioning for them to drink from the stream. "I am Nana Ya, guardian of the river shrine," she said. "Long ago, I sealed that witch beneath her tree. But your stepmother has broken the bond. The forest's hunger grows again." Nana Ya brought them to her hut by the water. The walls were covered in Adinkra symbols, Gienyame, Fawahodi, and Sankofa, signs of protection and remembrance. She mixed a powder of white clay, ground kola, and ash, placing it in a small pouch. "When the blood moon rises, return to the forest," she instructed. "Find the witch's heart and cast this upon it. Only then will her curse break." Kojo trembled, clutching Amma's hand. "We're just children," he said. "How can we fight her?" Nana Ya's voice deepened, carrying the weight of generations. "You are not just children. You are your father's spirit made flesh. The ancestors walk beside you now." Outside, the river hissed as though in warning. The witch's power was growing, and the moon was already turning red. Back in Adumasa, Abena's laughter had grown cruel and sharp. The forest had not received its feast, and her power, once radiant, now glimmered with hunger. Her eyes burned like embers in the dark, and her voice carried a hiss that made even the village dogs whimper. "Bring me the children," she commanded, and the wind stirred obediently, carrying whispers to the forest's edge. Shadows coiled like snakes, and the leaves bent as if listening to her call. Amma and Kojo, guided by Nana Ya, hid among the villagers. Fear draped over them like a heavy cloth. Some neighbors refused to help, terrified of the stepmother's growing wrath. Even the bravest hunters did not dare approach the edge of the forest. But the forest did not wait. Crows circled overhead, and roots crept from the ground, sniffing for the children's scent. At night, Kojo shivered under the stars. "Amma, I think she knows we're alive," he whispered, his voice trembling. "She can feel us." Amma gritted her teeth. "Then we will have to make her feel us first," she said. That evening, Kwakuteye, the village hunter, attempted to confront Abena. He carried a spear polished with river oil, hoping to protect the children. But the forest itself seemed to conspire against him. Branches lashed like whips, roots yanked at his legs, and the crows screeched warnings. When dawn came, his broken spear lay on the forest floor, and he was gone. Amma realized with a chilling certainty Abena's reach had grown beyond the compound. She now commanded the forest itself. If they were to survive, they would have to confront her in her own dominion. A night of the blood moon came crimson and full, casting a red glow over Adumasa and the surrounding forests. Nana Ya appeared at the children's hiding place, her staff carved with ancient Adinkra symbols. "Tonight we end it," she said. Amma clutched the pouch of powder, feeling its warmth and the pulse of ancestral power. Kojo's hand trembled in hers, but he did not speak. Fear had stolen his words. The journey through the forest was treacherous. Each step was met with twisting roots, unseen thorns, and whispers in Abena's voice calling them by name. "Come closer," the wind seemed to say. "I am your mother now." When they reached the clearing, the witch's tree loomed like a monstrous sentinel. Its bark writhed with the faces of those it had consumed, and Abena stood beside it, her beauty now twisted, her skin cracked, her eyes burning red. "You've returned," she hissed. "To finish the feast?" Nanaya lifted her staff and began to chant. The earth trembled, roots twisting violently, and the witch rose fully from the shadows, her body a ghastly blend of moss, bone, and sinew. "Children of man," she roared, "you will feed my roots." Amma swallowed her fear, feeling the ancestors' courage surge. She stepped forward, clutching the pouch. "Not tonight," she whispered, and hurled it toward the witch's heart. A blinding white light exploded, scattering the forest in a whirlwind of shadow and fire. Abena screamed, a sound that chilled the soul. A light from the pouch seared through the forest, burning the witch's bark-like skin. Her screams echoed like 1,000 cracking trees. Abena clawed at the air, trying to protect the witch, but the link between them shattered. "You fools!" she roared. "You will destroy everything!" Branches writhed and twisted, trying to lash at the children. But Nanaya's chant grew louder, steady as the river's current. Amma and Kojo clung to each other, their small bodies trembling but their spirits unyielding. The witch lunged with long, gnarled fingers, but each strike dissolved into sparks of white light. Abena fell to the ground, begging and clawing at the earth. "Help me," she cried. "I was promised life. I was promised power." Amma stepped forward, her voice cold as stone. "You took our father's life first. You chose evil over family. Tonight, it ends." With a final strike of Nanaya's staff, flames rose around Abena, consuming her until only ashes remained. The witch shrieked one last time before disintegrating into the wind. Silence fell over the forest, heavy and absolute. Only the sigh of leaves remained, mournful and ancient. Amma and Kojo stood together, hearts pounding, the white powder glowing faintly in the dust at their feet. They had survived, but the forest would always remember the hunger that had been fed, and the children who had defied it. When the last screams faded, the forest seemed to exhale, releasing centuries of whispered hunger. Branches sagged as though mourning, leaves shivered in the breeze, and the soil settled, calm but wary. Nanaya knelt beside Amma and Kojo, her staff tapping the earth in rhythm with her breath. "It is done," she said. "The forest is quiet, for now, but it remembers." She handed Amma a small charm carved from bone, etched with the Gainyame symbol. "This will protect you, but it cannot erase what has been done. Evil leaves its mark." Amma clutched the charm tightly, feeling its warmth seep into her palm. Kojo rested his head on her shoulder, silent but vigilant. Together, they walked back toward the village, where dawn cast gold across the millet fields. The villagers stared as the children returned, gaunt and bloodied but alive. Many whispered prayers of thanks. Others crossed themselves in fear. Amma realized the forest had tested them, and they had passed, but at a cost. The echoes of the witch and their stepmother lingered like smoke in the air. That night, under the full moon, Amma looked into a bowl of water and saw Abena's reflection flicker briefly across the surface. The image vanished, but the fear remained. She understood then that some evils never truly die. They lie in wait, patient and hungry. Kojo, sensing her unease, whispered, "Will she come back?" Amma shook her head. "No," she said softly, though her voice carried the weight of uncertainty. "Not if we remember. The forest does not forgive, but it does respect courage." The wind whispered around them, a quiet reminder that life in Adumasa would never be entirely free from the shadow of the witch. Life returned slowly to the village. Amma and Kojo were greeted as heroes, but the villagers remained wary. Crops grew differently that season, taller, darker, stronger, and children sometimes spoke of hearing whispers near the forest's edge. Elders reminded everyone that the forest was alive, ancient, and hungry. "Do not go near it, for even a brave heart can be claimed," they said. Amma became known for her courage and wisdom. She learned from Nanaya, studying herbs, charms, and the old rituals that could protect the living from the forest's hunger. Kojo, inspired by their ordeal, began to tell the story of their stepmother and the witch, warning other children to honor their parents, respect the forest, and never ignore the signs of evil. Together, they rebuilt their father's home, planting millet and yam fields with care, ensuring offerings to the ancestors were never forgotten. Yet peace was fragile. At night, the wind carried strange sounds, a hiss, a low laugh, the faint scent of ash. Amma would sit beneath the silk cotton tree, clutching her bone charm, her eyes scanning the forest line. Kojo would sit beside her, holding her hand tightly. They survived, yes, but the shadows of hunger and betrayal remained, and deep within the earth, beneath the twisted roots of the witch's tree, the forest remembered, always remembered. Years passed. Amma grew into a healer of renown, her voice calm and her eyes sharp with the wisdom of survival. Kojo became a storyteller, his tales carrying warnings and teachings, ensuring the memory of their father and the stepmother's darkness endured. The villagers respected them, but the children of Adumasa never forgot the forest's hunger, and they never ventured too far. One dry season, when the rivers ran shallow and the sunsets glowed like embers, Amma felt a chill curl through her bones. Alone, she walked to the edge of the forest, clutching the bone charm. The trees loomed silently, their shadows long and watchful. In the distance, the twisted witch's tree pulsed faintly beneath the soil, as though alive, whispering its hunger. Amma poured libation into the earth, honey, water, and chalk, murmuring prayers to the ancestors to maintain the fragile balance. She turned to leave, feeling the wind brush her ear. A whisper, faint and cruel, drifted through the air. "You fed me well, daughter." Amma froze, knowing the forest's memory was endless. The roots shifted subtly beneath the surface, as though smiling unseen. She exhaled slowly, shoulders tight with tension, yet her gaze remained steady. For she understood the truth that haunted the Ashanti villages. Evil may rise again, hunger may return, but courage, wisdom, and remembrance could hold it at bay. And in Adumasa, the children who had defied the forest would always be ready. Would you have escaped the witch? Comment your answer and share this story with someone brave enough to follow the forest's secrets. Subscribe for more dark African folklore every day.